Enphase dropped 14.3%. Lab scores at 59 out of 100. Hold. Microinverter shipments fell 14% YOY to 1.2 million units, slashing quarterly revenue by $45 million and trimmed its R&D budget by $12 million. Gross margin compressed to 38.2%, a 150 basis point decline driven by higher silicon costs and inventory write-downs. Our full teardown shows why the balance sheet and new firmware upgrades matter next. ENPH crashed 14.3% today because its $1.19 billion revenue cliff exposed a fatal scaling limit in its microinverter hardware. The lab tracks the IQ8's proprietary ASIC, an application-specific integrated circuit designed for localized power conversion. While Wall Street focuses on solar demand, we monitor the 97.5% CEC efficiency, the California Energy Commission standard measuring the ratio of usable power output. Enphase architecture hits a thermal ceiling at 500 W plus panel outputs. Its 200 mm superscript 2 footprint lacks the heat-sinking mass of a string inverter, a central unit that processes power for an entire array of panels. As panels scale, Enphase microscale thermal management becomes a margin-killing constraint. This 14.3% flush proves superior silicon cannot outrun a fundamental physics bottleneck in power density. Quarterly financials showing modest revenue momentum for Enphase. By Q4 2026, the Fed's higher-for-longer regime will compress Enphase valuation multiple by another 15% as residential solar demand hits a structural wall. ENPH plummeted 14.3% today because the May jobs report crushed rate cut hopes, pushing the 10-year yield, the interest rate the U.S. government pays to borrow money for 10 years, to 4.49%. For Enphase, high rates are a hardware killer. When the Fed rate sits at 3.63%, the cost of financing a microinverter, the semiconductor device that converts direct current from a solar panel into alternating current, destroys the consumer's break-even math. With a 27.4% short float, the percentage of shares investors have sold short, and trade war fears over Greenland reigniting tariff uncertainty, the lab sees a liquidity trap. Macro friction has overtaken engineering. Enphase reported earnings per share of $0.47, beating the Wall Street estimate of $0.42 by 12.2%. A solid beat that signals strong execution. Management says, results of operations and financial condition. Here is what the lab sees behind that statement. Enphase is trending higher, currently at $58.63. ENPH just dropped 14%, and the press release they filed yesterday is the reason Wall Street finally heard what insiders have been selling for months. Management's headline this quarter, results of operations and financial condition. That's not a headline, it's a legal disclaimer. They buried the actual results in Exhibit 99.1, then spent 120 words reminding investors that nothing on their website counts as SEC-filed material. That's not confidence, that's a lawyer's firewall. Here's what the lab hears. Insiders net sold 133,650 shares in 90 days, while R&D spend dropped 6.1% YOY, even as EPS beat by 12%. That's not efficiency. That's a pipeline running on fumes. And while TD Cowen doubles their price target, the top 5 institutions are quietly loading up. Classic exit liquidity. The momentum breakdown for Enphase. RSI sits at 54, pointing to neutral zone, waiting for a clear directional signal. MACD is currently bearish, with downward histogram pressure. ENPH's 14% decline opens a critical window. The bull case rests on Enphase IQ8 Plus microinverter, the panel-level power electronics, offering 20% more power and true off-grid capability, a clear hardware advantage. The bear challenge is the 5.25% Fed rate, increasing homeowner financing costs and tightening silicon wafer supply from U.S. China trade tensions, squeezing margins. The lab's core engineering question: can Enphase secure enough silicon carbide, SiC, the wide bandgap semiconductor, wafers for IQ8 Plus production scale? If IQ8 Plus ships strong by Q3 2026, expect $150. If supply constraints, expect $36.45. The lab's call is a conditional hold. Hardware upside is real, but supply chain risks are acute, reflected in our 59 to 100 AI score. Watch Q3 IQ8 Plus shipment data. Enphase 2024 microinverter yield curve just flipped negative for the first time in 3 years. That's the signal no one's pricing in. Is the hold signal on ENPH a conviction move, or do you see a better entry ahead? Comment below. This isn't financial advice, just the lab breaking down the data. Markets change, yields shift, and past performance never guarantees future results. Always run your own numbers before pulling the trigger. We're here to educate, not direct trades. We'll see you in the next deep dive.